do we have here? Fallen into a little trap, have we? Let's see if I was right. Ah, yes, just as I suspected. Hello there. Remember me? Of course you do. We've met before. And you chased my friends and I all throughout this convention center, up until we crafted a comically intricate yet wildly effective trap, landing you right here. That's right. The authorities are on their way. The rest of the gang went to go get them, leaving just the two of us here to talk about your confession. What? You don't want to confess? Criminals never do, but let me tell you exactly why you will, because I know precisely how you did everything. That's right. And I think you knew that, and that's why you chased us around. Isn't that right? I bet you're thirsty after all that running around. A nice artificially colored sports drink would quench your thirst, wouldn't it? Want some? Here you go. See, I can be civil. I can share with you. Anyway, now that you're a little more comfortable, let me tell you a story. It all started when the gang and I decided to take a trip to Canada, little vacation. And Scooby and Shaggy saw in the news that this ASMR convention was taking place. Yeah. Oh, I know you know all about it. Anyway, they want to make their own mukbang ASMR channel. You know, the ones where people gorge themselves with food and then talk very quietly while tapping on things like that. Yes, well, you met Shaggy and Scooby. You know how they are. I believe they ate some of your food, actually. But we'll get to that. Anyway, they saw in the news that this ASMR convention was going to have a guest star, their favorite ASMR artist. You know her. Wisp Spring. And that they were also going to give out 100 free microphones to the first 100 attendees. Well, Shaggy and Scooby don't want to pay for a microphone, so they dragged us all along to come to this convention. We camped out in the Mystery Machine all night, braved the snow, just to be within the first 100 in line. Finally, the morning came. We were being ushered in to the convention center and given a ticket. Ah, yes, claim your free microphone. But first, the convention's host, Sophia Spoken, was making her opening announcements. She thanked the generous microphone mogul, Tim Goals, for his generous donation of 100 microphones to be given to the convention attendees. Just as Sophia was about to introduce the guest ASMR artist, Wisp Springs, a fog emerged from behind the stage and into the crowd. And out behind the pile of free microphones, a scary blue Yeti started to destroy everything. I'm sure you remember. It was you, after all. Still denying it. That's okay. Let me continue. You destroyed the stage and the microphones. And once things got bad enough, the crowd realized that it wasn't part of the convention and ran out of the center. And we were whisked away in the crowd as to not get trampled. But of course, we knew there was something suspicious about a monster attack at an ASMR convention and needed to get to the bottom of the mystery. We started our investigation by interviewing the primary suspects, Sophia, Tim, and Wisp. First, we started with Sophia. ASMR convention host. She was visibly upset. She had worked so hard to get this convention off the ground, only for it to be destroyed in one fell swoop. All her microphones were ruined, and her guest star, Whis Springs, had pulled out of the convention. When I asked her about the Blue Yeti, she said that it was a known local legend here in this town in Canada, like the Himalayan abominable snowman, but for Canada. Anyway, she seemed to believe that it was real, and that her convention was cursed by this monster. And that's where we left her. Then we talked to Tim Goals. He is a very rich microphone mogul that specializes in repair and reselling used microphones, such as the Blue Yeti microphone itself. Bit ironic, isn't it, that the Blue Yeti legend destroyed the Blue Yeti microphones. Well, Tim said that he couldn't really make heads or tails of the monster attack. He knew of the legend, but wasn't too sure if he believed it or not. But stranger things had indeed happened. He was very frustrated that his entire supply of used microphones at the convention had been destroyed. But he said, "Rest assured, I have good insurance." Lastly, we spoke to Wisp. She was ready to board the plane back to California, done with this small Canadian town and its Blue Yeti monster. She said that she thought the whole thing was a PR stunt by Tim, as the main microphone he sells is the Blue Yeti microphone. But maybe it was real because his entire supply was destroyed and the convention was canceled. We told her how she knew about the legend not being a local like Sophia and Tim. She said that Sophia had told her about it, and she seemed to truly believe in it. Like I said, she was ready to leave, but we told her to stay back because of the investigation. She also decided to add right at the end there how big of a jerk Tim was, but declined to say more. Well, kind of hit a dead end talking to our three suspects, so it was time to split up and look for clues. Indeed, time to split up and look for clues. Shaggy and Scooby's least favorite part, but it's okay. Fred, Daphne, and myself started at the stage where all the commotion had happened. There were several buckets full of water, perhaps left over by the janitorial staff cleaning up the mess. We told them to stop, though, when we decided to investigate. And also, all the microphones were still strewn about. We noticed that each of them had a red sticker on the bottom. What could it mean? What could it mean? Oh, you know what it means, don't you? Yes, well. Meanwhile, Shaggy and Scooby were doing what they do best, getting into someone else's food. They found what they thought was ice cream and 2 leftover boxes of spaghetti labeled T and labeled W. Remind you of anyone? Yes, same initials as our 2 main suspects. Well, while they were chowing down on the leftovers, they knocked over the microphones that were for sale at that booth, all having a green sticker on the bottom. Red sticker, green sticker. Of course, at the time, I didn't know about the green sticker discovery, but it all started to come together when we talked to each other. Anyway, while they were chowing away, we were going into Sophia's makeshift office behind the stage. There were papers everywhere, strewn about like this. These are my notes here. Anyway, for visual effect, papers everywhere. Someone had been in there. Someone was looking for something. Perhaps covering up their tracks. Excuse me, I'm parched. More? Here you go. Anyway, yes, you were covering up your tracks. Amongst the papers, we found this. Ripped in two. Let's see. Look familiar? Reconsider my offer. XOXO. Tim. XOXO. A little unprofessional, don't we think? A little suspicious, a little more than business partners, Sophia and Tim? Who's to say? But again, we must note that it's ripped. Probably by Sophia was my guesstimation. She didn't want to reconsider Tim's offer. But why? What was the offer? Why the flirty tone to it? Of course, we also found blue hair and Yeti footprints behind the stage. The monster had been in there. So, what does the monster want with Sophia's paperwork? The answer was lying within the rubble, but we'll get to that, won't we? Anyway, this is when Shaggy and Scooby burst into Sophia's makeshift office behind the stage, claiming that the Blue Yeti was back and chasing after them. And sure enough, you were. And you chased us all around, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Until we finally came up with our little plan and used Shaggy and Scooby as bait and trapped you right here. And that brings us up to speed. So, what are our clues that I'm working with to put this all together? Well, let's show the final clue before I tell you just what you're going to confess to the police. Hi, Tim. Does this look familiar? This is what you were looking for in Sophia's office, weren't you? The color code key for your microphones. Red, unrepairable, ready to be recycled. Green, ready to sell, repaired. Tim's microphone repair and resell, copyrighted 2022. The last piece of the puzzle. The microphones donated to Sophia's convention were broken. They weren't destroyed. They were purposely gifted by you, broken. And you needed to get this paper so we wouldn't figure out what those stickers meant. The last piece of evidence that really could put it all together. But why? Why would you give Sophia broken microphones for her ASMR convention, especially when your whole business model is helping out small creators? Well, that's because you wanted to date Sophia, but she didn't want to date you. And you were very bitter about that, weren't you, Tim? So you devised your plan to get revenge on her by gifting her your unrepairable microphones from your shop. But you realized not only would she get bad press like you wanted, but so would you. Your company's name was all over this convention. You decided you have to cover your tracks better. Isn't that right? Now, how would you do that? Well, you would go for the ASMR star, whispering, bringing all the attendees in. You get her to leave, then the crowd leaves with her, and it shuts the convention down. And your whole silly microphone plan doesn't even come to light. So, you take Wisp on a date to a spaghetti restaurant. Yes, those boxes Scooby and Shaggy were eating out of with T and W on it. Yes, well, I saw those boxes and went to the restaurant, and they were overjoyed with seeing internet celebrity Wisp Spring. And she was with a man, matching your description. So why did you take her on a date? Well, you thought you could use your romantic charm that didn't work on Sophia to manipulate her into pulling out of the convention. But while on this date, Wisp asked you about the local Blue Yeti legend. To get your opinion on it, because Sophia had seemed pretty convinced it was real. And you were reminded that indeed, yes, Sophia does think that this legend is real. And that is a perfect way to get everything you want. Dress up as the Blue Yeti, crash the convention, destroy the microphones, and Sophia believes in the monster, so she won't investigate it. And instead of telling Wisp to leave and draw some suspicion on you in the end, it'll all be on this monster. So, once Wisp gave you your idea, you told her things weren't going to work out, and she got so mad she stormed out of the restaurant, leaving her leftovers. So you took both of them. Why waste food? And better yet, you took them to the convention center to be found by my hungry friends, Shaggy and Scooby. Makes sense why Wisp called you a jerk. Well, I had remembered that she did that, so I decided to talk to her, and she confirmed the whole thing, noting that she told you about the Blue Yeti legend, and shortly after you ended the date. Well, that brings us to the day of the event. You had set up ice buckets full of dry ice. Yes, the ice cream Shaggy and Scooby had also snacked on, at what turned out to be your booth with the green dotted microphones. You thought you were clever, but didn't really cover your tracks now, did you? No, you didn't. Anyway, you set up your dry ice buckets behind the stage, behind the microphones, and it emerged this thick, creepy fog. And from the fog, there you were, dressed as the terrifying Blue Yeti, to destroy everything and scare away the attendees. And you were successful. The local legend runs deep, and everybody hit the road. Including us, because we didn't want to get trampled. Yeah, pretty good plan. However, you failed to consider that Mystery Incorporated amateur sleuths would be on the case. But you realized that, didn't you? That's why you tried to come back and destroy the evidence. You left the buckets, you left this sticky note, you left your microphone key. You know, next time I would take the stickers off the microphones. But perhaps you thought Wisp came up with the idea, and I got my revenge on Sophia, and I'm going to get a large sum of money from my false insurance claim. Claiming broken equipment as new isn't legal. Yes, well, everything you did will lock you away for a little bit at the very least. And you're going to confess. So, what do you have to say for yourself? No. I need you to say, and I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling kids. Say it back. Meddling kids. Very important. And I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling kids. And I need you to sound as bitter as possible. What's that? Sounds like the authorities are approaching. Takes a while in these little Canadian mountain towns, doesn't it? Okay, well, gonna put the mask back on. Just like we rehearsed, okay?